Hello guys, here is session 40 of Level Up with Jama Jurabaev. Hey man,
Hey guys.
we are here with Wojtek Fus, me
Hey
Darek
guys.
Zabrocki, and we are still waiting for Jonas, so he
Yeah.
probably will join us in a few minutes. So let me just share the works of Jama before I will give him a word. You can check his works on his jamajurabaev.deviantart.com. He regularly put his works onto this site, also in high quality, so you can see all this, beautiful stuff with very good close-up, with all that beautiful brush stroke that we all admire. So, yeah, let's just check his site, and for now, I will give him a voice. And when will you be talking, Jama? I will maybe make a quick tour through your works yet.
Yep.
So say hello.
Hey guys, once again, thank you very much for coming to this level up session. I really appreciate that, and honestly, I do almost every time I watch a new series, and personally, I learn a lot, and I hope you will grab a couple of tips from me or just from my past experience. So, I kind of made a small topics for you. Are we seeing my screen right now, right?
Yeah, we can switch to your screen right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so
it's
you
done.
kind of saw my works, but I would love to go back and just tell you how it's all started because I think it kind of can help some people and motivate them because I know it's not an easy stuff. It takes a lot of time, a lot of motivation as well, a lot of failures, a lot of up and downs. That's the reason why I wanted to go back and just tell my story, and I hope you will find it interesting and even funny because it was
Yeah.
funny. So before I start showing anything, I would like to tell you that my main degree that I made in university was aerospace engineering. It was exactly 10 years ago, and as you can see, it was nothing to do with concept art or painting or even designing something. So it was completely. I was hoping that they would give me some designs of airplanes, but when I spent 6 years just literally doing a lot of heavy math. Like it was so crazy. I was so happy when they gave me a few like engine cutouts to draw them. And literally, I do remember that exam that I was doing. It was like aircraft propulsion system and stuff like that. I came to the exam, I sat down, and I realized I don't understand anything. Like I can't reply that question, and I was like literally spent 40 minutes just doing that beautiful rendering of the engine cutout. And when I saw the notes, it was so funny. The instructor, found that it's really like interesting, and he gave me 70 for the drawing and 0 for everything else. So I passed the lesson. It was amazing. So at that point, I kind of started to realize, dude, math it's not what you want to do. Do something with art style. But
Yeah.
yeah, but after spending 6 years in university, it's always like all of us have a family, and you can't just tell guys I'm not doing it. Like my parents will like, what do you mean you're not doing it? Like you spent 6 years, so it was a huge pressure on me. Plus, I was in Turkey at that moment, so and in my last term of university, basically I had one lesson which I failed uh, in the previous term. So I was working in this internet cafe to make some money, and I was like, oh man, I played Counter Strike, StarCraft, like, and then at some point I fed up and I told myself, dude, you need to do something. Like you're wasting your life, like literally. And I started to do some stuff in Photoshop, like, but it was not like painting. Like I did have like drawing skills, but also if we go back a little bit more, like I had this big trauma about drawing because I was drawing like Terminators and Aliens. Remember those old movies from the
Yeah.
childhood? I was so impressed by them, and I was like literally spending hours by trying to copy Arnold Schwarzenegger's face. It's always looked awkward, but at least it was really nice rendering, and I was like really proud of it. And I did like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, all the beautiful renderings, like
All these
And
bad actors.
I would go to my father and like, oh, Dad, look, I did this beautiful drawing, and he would look at those and say, no, they're bad. Like, you're not a designer. I was so mad about it. Like, my father is like, he's the biggest guy, a man in the world for me, and he was not supporting the stuff I was doing, and I was like, how come? And he told me that you're copying, you're not designing, you're just like Xerox machine, like photocopy machine. And now these days, when I came back to concept art, the advice he gave to me, I found it so valuable because I changed my approach, and instead of just trying to copy someone or something, I tried to learn and analyze it. That's why it gave me a big freedom. It gives me a big freedom these days to draw stuff just from imagination and just like relying on my designs and visual library skills.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I started doing something in computer back in 2004 and 5.
So how old were you then?
How old I am? I'm 30.
No. Back then, I mean, when you figured out that you wanted to do something.
I was 24.
24.
I was 24,
Okay.
yeah. And till 2006, I think I was doing some design works like, websites, logotypes, and stuff like that. This is actually what I spent doing with the 3 years in a row, and then I became an art director in a small studio. But I always had this passion for drawing. I was trying to do, but like I can show you, I was so proud of this one, guys. I was like, it's amazing. Like we have figures in foreground, middle ground, this glow and stuff like that.
There's a ship.
Yeah, and this was done by mouse. I was so proud of it. Like,
oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then,
that's an achievement.
And then I started to like digging deeper, and I saw Feng's tutorials online. Do you remember those Gnomon ones?
Yeah.
2005. And in one, at some point, he mentioned Wacom tablet, and I said, okay, this is where the magic comes from. I need to get that one. So basically, like I literally saved for 3 months to buy it, and I bought the Wacom tablet, and it came to me. I opened it up and I plugged it in, and I tried it, and I realized, man, this is not about Wacom. This is not about Photoshop. This is completely about your drawing skills. And this is how it all started. Like starting from 2006, I would spend my evenings drawing, doing these studies. You see, this is like obviously Feng style, like perspective. I even didn't know what perspective is. You see this question mark over here? Kind of like I was lost in my own painting. Like what is going on? Right? Like and this is more advanced. This is kind of introduction to matte painting, as you can see. It's very beautiful, like mountains, Dylan Cole style, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a little bit of color. I was so like really proud of this one, and now these days I look at it, oh, it's awful. This is, by the way, the photo study. Was very proud of it. So yeah, and I think this is when I came back and I kind of realized that I want to do concept art. It was a challenge on CG Society back in 2008, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I did mainly like black and white images. Everybody liked those, like, oh, it's good stuff. And I never was able to finish the final work because I simply didn't know how to colorize it, and I just failed to do it. I just didn't know what to do next. So that's pretty much it. How I started. Like. This is the first image that I posted online. I think it was conceptart.org. So you kind of see like alienish background. I'm always impressed by those movies. And this is the time when I start to learn a little.
It looked like an alien prince, not a queen.
Yeah, something like that. Well, this is something I was able to do. Yeah, this is, I think, and this is the first image in color, which is color, very monochromatic, by the way. But before that, I wanted to also tell you this story about how I improved my skills. So I worked in this small studio back in Turkey, really close to Syria, and we had this advertising agency, 5 people living in one room, just working for 12 hours, sleeping a little bit. So it was really like a home office. And I spent 2 years there, and my main job was they would bring me this kind of machinery parts that were taken by just regular, like simple photo camera, and I had to do them pretty. So I did all these layers, and this is the time when I really started to learn about light, shadow, reflections, and materials. And literally, like my flatmates, they would laugh at me like, "Oh man, you will spend all your life drawing this industrial shit," and I was really offended by it. Like, no, I'm gonna make some beautiful pictures. I'm gonna make some beautiful stuff, and I ended up doing this stuff for almost a year, and the rest like just variations of this heavy machinery, like, and this was the point when I started to learn how to render, which helps me a lot these days. And once again, I started to realize more and more that I need to spend more time on my knowledge, on my basics, on general art principles and how it works instead of just going and copying, which is also good. I'm not saying copying something, but you need to balance it out. You need to learn forms, you need to learn proportions and how everything is related to each other. Otherwise, when you encounter a new tool like, let's say, 3D, it won't be difficult for you to jump on that one because you already know the general principles, how it works. So yeah, that's pretty much how it started. It was really a funny journey. I literally was there just for my food. They gave me a computer, and I spent 2 years just trying to draw, trying to understand, trying to design stuff.
Yeah.
And it pays off. I never regret that time. I was really angry at myself that I'm not progressing too much. And like, I literally, when I was doing this perspective studies, I thought, man, you are just imbecile. You can't draw a perspective. Like, Fang would do it so easy, like 2, 1, 3 points, and I was like really struggling to do it. But it takes time. The first lesson I took from there was it's just about being patient and just constantly doing this stuff.
Yeah,
right.
so you literally gave yourself like a intense art education. For 2 years, you were just working, right? Just
Yep. Yeah.
What kept you going? Because also you are when you are starting on your own, you are facing the same frustrations like you mentioned, right? The painting aren't coming out as good as you want them to be, and how have you dealt with that? How have you kept? What helped you keep going?
Well, I think it's kind of baked in my character. Whenever something challenges me, I get really like, man stuff. If something challenges me, I want to kind of push it harder. So that's kind of my life principle. When sometimes, like, if I decide that this is the stuff I want to learn, I kind of don't see any obstacles. I know they're coming, but I'm just going into that direction. This is how it helped me to and also the other factor that affected me too much, I'm coming from Tajikistan, which is an amazing country and it's a beautiful country, but sadly nobody knows about it. It's just the next country to Afghanistan. So we don't have any proper schools, we don't have any concept art related stuff. Even these days I tell my friends that I'm doing cartoons because it's kind of difficult to tell what exactly I'm doing. So that's also kind of was stagnating me. And I lived there for like 5 or 6 years when I was trying to learn it. But thanks to internet these days, if you want something, there's so much information available around, and it's just up to you to go there and to learn that stuff, And once you start getting a feedback, I know, like, I did receive my first feedback on this piece. Oh, this is amazing. I know it's not these days when I'm looking at it, it's not that good. But that kind of feedback is really, really motivating. So even these days, whenever people need help from me, I'm not just because I'm trying to be polite, but I also I want to motivate people instead of saying, dude, this sucks, that sucks, because you never know under what conditions that piece was made, like. And so when I did this piece, I had limited knowledge, but I had big motivation. So it's really important to motivate people instead of pointing their weaknesses, which is also necessary, but you have to balance it out. Like when I was art directing in my studio, I just literally would take people that didn't have any big background, and I tried to motivate them by the stuff I was doing, and just literally push them towards their dreams or whatever they want to do. And I'm so glad that like few guys from my old studio, they made it and they still kind of moving forward. So yeah, it's not just about motivating yourself, but motivating other people as well. It's really cool. All right, this was roughly all about my past.
Yeah, that's so important, and we're so grateful you shared it because, like you said just before the session started, there are these walls behind all those awesome artists, and some of the artists are sharing the stuff behind the wall, and some of the artists will not do it. But seeing the stuff that you really like was starting with, and all the journey is so important to every artist, not even a start. These artists that are starting out. I think it's as important to, like me, Darek, we kind of started working, right. This is our professional career, and still I'm so motivated and inspired seeing all those pieces because I still feel like I'm not there yet. I'm not there I'm not where I want to be, and this is giving me an idea of the journey we have all been through, right? This gives me an idea of how much sweat was given into really this. Where are we now? So it's really important, and I'm aware of the mountains that are ahead. So it's also intimidating, but
Yeah.
I think more motivating than intimidating. Yeah. So thank you very much for sharing those.
No
Really,
worries. Well,
really inspiring.
it's really, I think it's really important to be honest with yourself, and the way right now you told about feeling yourself and trying to learn more and seeing the obstacles ahead of you, it's a big advantage for you because many people that don't realize it or try to close their eyes and not see what's going on. We just need to be honest with ourselves. We need to know that there's so many things to learn and just keep moving forward. This is just the way you can be good. Otherwise, you will just fall behind.
Yeah.
All right. So, when you were talking about a lot of effort, I also wanted to share, like, I used to do like a lot of daily exercises without exceptions. So, like, in order to draw figures and stuff like that, I like literally would spend hours and hours every day just trying to learn how to simplify forms and how to create these simplified versions of what I'm planning to do next. And why daily exercises? It's just like going to gym, you just doing some exercises will keep you fresh, will always keep you strong enough to handle any kind of stuff that will be coming to you next. So like these days I try to go to live drawing at least twice a week. And like sometimes I hear like I watched this really nice video about Disney animators, and the topic of the small seminar was why live drawing for animators these days, like because almost everything Disney does is 3D. Like all the upcoming movies, they're all 3D. And there was really nice point about live drawing that made sense for me, is that you need to study original source. Like even when you're studying from photo, it's different. But when you're doing a live drawing, which is like pure original source of human anatomy and human structure, that's why those guys still go out and do live drawings. It keeps your knowledge fresh. Like instead of trying, for example, even in my studies when I'm doing my old master studies, I tend to go back, like 500 years before, like learn from original masters. So like if you have any artist that you admire, try to think who inspired him and to go to that source, because you will get much more information from the original source than from copying him, which is also good. Like I do when I see some good guy online, I try to analyze how he did it, but I can also see that he was impressed or inspired by someone else from the past, and so I tend to find that guy and do those studies. So like for example, I also do like a lot of compositional studies. I kind of showed it briefly in my level up in my Gumroad session. So this is like a typical composition studies that I do, and I kind of trying to keep them very abstract in the way, because composition is a very abstract thing. Like there's no good or bad composition. It's always like it works on abstract level, because when you see the picture for the first time, especially on the Facebook as a thumbnail, it's so small. Sometimes you don't get all the details. You don't get even the subject what's going on, but you like it because abstraction as an abstraction it works fine. That's why, like when I do my composition studies, I try to keep them abstract enough to balance the shapes. And once, for example, this one over here, it could be like a bird or like reptile flying, and this could be some guys, right?
Mhm.
At this point, it doesn't make sense. But once I'm happy with the composition, I go and just refine it. I just spend more time trying to kind of give meaning to this one, and it really helps also to exercise your composition feeling, because sometimes when you do your art, you're stuck in your world, and all your pictures start to look similar. This is a good exercise to keep the balance, because sometimes I draw with my left hand as well. Like I pick a frame and I would just like go and do like left hand study, just to create like maybe new shapes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it helps me to create new forms, and just like it doesn't need to be good picture, or it doesn't need to be. It's all about the proportions and like breaking this frame into the thirds and stuff like that. So I would definitely advise this exercise for anyone who. It doesn't matter what you do, even if you do characters. When you compose your characters inside the frame, you also need this kind of abstraction to compose your picture, and this is a very good exercise to do it.
So
So-
with those daily exercises, I also noticed that uh, your brushwork had changed from the past. Like like you showed us the previous works, and in this one, in this new ones, we can clearly see that your brushwork is kind of exceptional, because it's like not Photoshop. It looks like a very traditional way of painting, and it's also I assume that it also comes with daily exercises that you can experiment and play around with different brushes and shapes, and it also create a style. It's not only the basic knowledge about the values, the composition and all that stuff, but it's also creating your own style, right?
Well, I think style is something that comes with the time. Like I would honestly say, can tell that I copied so many artists like
Mm-hmm.
Levente Peterfi, who is today my flatmate, and we're living together, like sharing a flat with other guys. So like 3 or 4 years ago, I remember myself messaging him and asking, "Ah, Levi, could you help me, like how to draw nice pictures?" And when we started to live together, I found a picture that I copied from him. It was so funny. We kind of laughing at it, and like everybody copies someone at some point, and then you start to find your own style.
Yeah.
Like, but when you're copying someone, for me, the rule of thumb is not like I'm trying to simulate that guy. I'm trying to understand how it works. And like you mentioned, that latest of my works, they look more traditional. It's just because I'm trying to study a lot of masters these days. Like I buy a lot of books, like Russian painters, American plein air painters, and I try not to just copy those brushstrokes, but analyze and understand how they use the brushwork to represent the surfaces. That's why, like, instead of just putting brushstroke because it looks cool, I'm trying to, for every brushstroke, I'm thinking some kind of, it should be meaningful. It shouldn't be just a nice brushstroke. It should carry some form or some kind of representation of material or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is the, yep.
Yeah, because your brushworks are very accurate, so that's the way of thinking and the way of pre-thinking before you make the exact stroke. And the less strokes you can do like an accurate way, it's a better.
Yep.
It's
Well,
more readable and.
Yeah, actually, this is some of the topics that I would love to share in my Gumroads, but it doesn't need to be Gumroad. I can talk about it right now. I realized that there is a difference when a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, Khan Muftic, who is an amazing artist. He used to work on Godzilla and Batman. He's like a really nice traditional drawer as well. He will be giving workshop at London workshops, and he told me, like, I don't know if you know Henry Yan, who is an amazing like figure painter. He's one of those
I don't
really
know.
really awesome Chinese painters, and my friend took a workshop from that guy, and he was like, even in the first day in the first class, he asked my friend, "Are you a digital painter?" And my friend was really surprised. Well, how come do you know? Well, I see the way you paint, like, and the difference. I realized the difference. We are digital painters are painting. It's more like, for example, if you have this frame, we kind of like doing quick stuff, like blah blah blah, putting some like doing a lot of strokes, like this is the main reason because we have a freedom to change this stuff, isn't it? Like we have Control Z. If we screw up, we just go back and change it. But when you are a traditional painter, you don't have that luxury. Every stroke you put, it needs to be meaningful. So this is a kind of big difference between traditional and digital, which is all right. It's just a new tool with new rules. But when I'm trying to understand painters, like I'm trying to understand how, like this is why for me, for example, the initial composition or ideal, the sketch of idea takes 15-20 minutes, but to bring those brushworks, brush strokes and nice brush marks, it takes me maybe 10 times more time to do that, because then I take my time and I slow down and I start to put like every stroke and I start to think about every stroke, and it just takes more time. So it's an interesting thing. It took me a few years to kind of realize the difference, and it's cool that I'm aware of it, and the way I do my studies, I just understand a bit more how the whole stuff works.
Yeah.
I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Of course.
All right, so we talked about life drawing, naked ladies, naked boys, men. It's always good. So if you have time, especially if you're doing character designs, like it's very helpful to understand the human body, and it's a never-ending process. Like every 2 weeks, I feel like I'm learning it. I'm almost there, and then I fail again. So it's kind of like back and forth. But I'm not disappointed. I know I'm gonna fail. Those masters like Henry Yan, it took him like 10, 20, 30 years to learn that stuff. Like if somebody can do it, why can't I do it? Like I know I'm coming from third world country, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do the same, and maybe I'm gonna do better. So it just depends on how focused and how serious I am, and I'm pretty serious, so that helps me and keeps me motivated enough to move forward.
Yeah, that's so inspiring to hear. One question about your live drawing sessions.
Yep.
Do you practice with traditional tools or digital tools?
Well, I do kind of both, but I don't remember when last time I used my iPad. It was maybe like a few times, but I use charcoal and I use Prismacolor pencils are my favorite, because if you're not familiar with them, they're kind of really waxy, almost like waxy graphite, and so you can't smear them. They're very good. So I never post my traditional stuff because I don't think it's good enough to like show people. Actually, the next topic that I will be talking about is doing experiments, and like not everything you're doing is to show someone. It's just like, that's why my life drawing is a more process of learning, but I do see how it reflects on my work in terms of understanding and simplifying like gestures and like figures when I'm doing this. These are all done from imagination, but they all coming from doing a lot of life drawings. Like I do understand how human body works, how the flow is working, like, and the more I do, the more powerful I feel myself. So life drawing is a very good exercise, and like if you're doing a lot of environments, this is something I'm working on, but unfortunately I don't have any like much time to do it. It's just going outside and painting locations is also a beautiful thing. like with just pencils, doing some sketches. I see a lot of like beautiful stuff on the Facebook. I really admire it, and I hope when I have more free time, I will just do the same, and it will help me a lot. Okay.
Yeah, man.
The next topic is experimenting. Now comes the stuff that I never showed anywhere. Some of it looks really crap.
Premiere. We have the premiere in here.
But I think it's good to see it because, like, everybody sees the finished stuff. Like, if you go on my DeviantArt page, like, this is a finished piece. Like, this one is finished piece. Like, everything is
crazy, man.
Yeah, the last ones are just fucking awesome.
Oh, thank you guys, thank you. So when I'm doing those, like, I also do a lot of experiments, which I would love to share and show you people, just to show that it's not about all time just doing finished pieces. It's also really important to experiment because we have so many tools around, like 3D, 2D, like photo bashing, mixing them up, and people do some like amazing stuff with it. Like, and there's no point of denying it. Like, personally, I always go for new stuff, and I feel really motivated when I see new tools. How can I use them? How can I plug in my pipeline and just like make some cool stuff with them? So this section is all about experimenting. Shall we start? For example, these are kind of like, if you realize, like, recently I posted like a few brush packs, like with different traditional media. For example, this is the one I was trying to do, like a kind of Sangin or some kind of, I do remember I did a lot of studies like this. So this is all about experimenting, and like I'm trying to to mimic those master studies, like with skeletons inside, and it's good to experiment. Like, I didn't like this approach, but I spent some time doing it, and I learned what is working for me and what is not. That's actually the main reason of these experiments, just to find new ways and kind of trying to improve your skill set. This is how you improve. Like, the first step is practice. Like I told you that I spent 2 years of non-stop practicing, but this is not enough. Just doing same stuff all over again definitely will make you good. But if you want to be good and innovate, if you want to try new stuff, so that's why this section is all about it. For example, some of the experiments I did, like for let me find another example. Just a second. Probably this. Like, I was experimenting a lot with different perspective, like 3, 2-point, and just, it's quite abstract, but I wanted to find like a really nice angles, and oops, sorry, they're not in the right order. So like, I'll never posting this. I'm just keeping them to myself, trying to find new stuff, like something I haven't done before, like interior designs, and like a lot of variations in that. Like, this is like, I was experimenting with perspective grid, and I think I will be doing some tutorial on vanishing point filter in Photoshop, which is an amazing design tool. When combined with the perspective warp, it's like, for some of you who don't know, it's this guy over here and vanishing point one here. So also I'm doing a lot of like just like different brushes, like gradient brushes, trying to find new ways to paint. Like, it's not like traditional painting, it's more like digital, but it's also just creating different abstract shapes and trying to fill them.
Yeah, these are very clean. These are very clean brushwork.
Yeah, well, these are kind of cool when you need to do like when I did my Gumroad, I kind of a little bit explained the reason why I use different brushes, because some brushes are good for some certain stuff. Like, when I'm using two like messy brushes, it sometimes doesn't make sense if you're doing like a clean, really nice environment, or you need to show a character. So that's why these kind of flat and gradient brushes are very good to do this. So I did kind of like a lot of studies, like here, just mixing them up, some line work, and just like I think I finished this guy. It turned out to be something else.
You have played around with alchemy, right?
Yeah, I do use alchemy, but it's more like a design tool that
Yes.
I'm using for kind of abstractions. But to be honest, not much these days. I shifted more into 3D, which I will be showing in a while. So, but yeah, alchemy is a great tool. It's just an amazing.
There you go. Jonas is back.
Hey guys.
Hey Jonas.
Hey Jama. Ah man, I'm really sorry I'm so late. It's completely out of my power.
No worries.
I just went to I wanted to go to the Notting Hill Carnival, but
Yep.
I thought it was going to be like a happy little parade, but it was absolute mayhem, and I got stuck there, like physically stuck, and it took me an hour and a half to get out of there. So that's why I'm
fine.
late.
It's a London traffic. We all know that.
Yeah, pretty insane.
Okay. At some point I was experimenting with like a line drawing combined with a kind of gradient and shapes, and I still kind of feel that I suck at line drawing. Every time I go back to it, I don't feel confident enough. My traditional line drawing is kind of confident, but when it comes to digital, I just can't do it. I need like values and
I'm exactly the same. That's funny. Yeah.
yeah, I need forms, which is all right. This is how you learn, you know. Like when it comes to master studies, I do a lot of master studies. For example, this is Tibor Nagy. I'm pretty sure many of you guys know about him. He is amazing. Like the way, this is his image, and this is definitely my ugly attempt to simulate him. So Tibor Nagy is a very cool guy, and I do a lot of master studies. So like, it doesn't need to be finished piece. I'm just trying to analyze like overlay and try to understand how all the brushes work. And I will be explaining more in my tutorials because it's kind of like a long subject, but the main difference between traditional and digital is that traditional media is subtractive. The more you add, it becomes like darker, and digital media is additive, like RGB. That's why the more you add, it becomes whiter. So when you understand that difference, it's a bit easier to understand how they work. For example, for darker places, I'm kind of using color burn or linear burn, which gives me this nice effect that they got here, you know. So this is how I learn from them. I'm trying not to copy the overall picture. I'm trying to understand how they got this effect that kind of like mimics this realism. When you zoom in, it doesn't look real. It looks like very messy and brushy. But when you zoom out, it's such a beautiful expressive painting. Yeah, that was pretty much it. For example, this painting is a kind of something I was trying to do after that guy, like trying to, like all this grass is just smudge tool rotating around each other, and it's kind of creates this really interesting like grass effect. Like all the trees is just the texture, the brush with the texture, and it was a cool experiment. Never kind of finished it, but I learned so much from it, like how to make grass and all these dark areas and like this kind of.
Yeah, I love it. I love the rhythm.
No, cheers. What's next? I did a lot of 3D studies, like never published this hard surface modeling that I'm doing because there's so many hard surface modeling around, which are awesome. But I did like a lot of modeling of the guns and props and stuff like that just to see how it works, you know. So it's good. It's good to know, like, whenever I need to model something, like I did that gun for the Guardians. I did 3D. I did all the sketches I did. They were 3D. Like I'm using 3D code to do it. Like this is not ZBrush. This is 3D code, and it works amazing when you're trying to do, like, for example, if I'm doing mechs or stuff, like this is the way my sketches look like. They're quite messy, but I do see the proportions, and to make one of these, it takes me like 2 minutes, maybe 3, 5, or whatever. It's very quick, but because I also can rotate around them and just see how it works, the old proportions, and they're really cool. I can then export them, do line drawing from them using, for example, Toon Shader in Keyshot. this is, for example, the same principle. I'm just using Toon Shader to make it like a line drawing, so I'm not messing with, like, if I want to fix these jagged edges, I will just go and paint on top of it instead of doing like heavy modeling, which is I'm not very good at, you know. Like, all these are just to use simple tools, like simple 3D, just sculpting, going to Keyshot, use like, or even you can use like outline filter, yes, stylus filter in Photoshop just to like make all these line drawings, you know. Like all this stuff, it was modeled in 3D, and then if I want to push it further, I will just go and paint on top of it. So what else? Like I do, for example, this one. This is also like I did get this guy in 3D code, just plug it into photo, just quick overpainting. Just all about experimenting, you know. I'm trying to train myself to do stuff quick and good enough to be presented to the client, and that's the main reason of these experiments, to improve your skill set and to improve your speed and efficiency. Like, if I want to draw this from scratch, I potentially could do it, but it takes me more time, and I need to take shortcuts just using 3D, using photos, and just quickly, like, if I'm able to show this in 20 minutes to my art director, it's good for me, because if he doesn't like it, I don't need to spend another few hours working on it. I just jump and do something else. I hope it makes sense. Like I do a lot of photo experiments as well, just putting photos together, like for my projects, like the ones that I'm doing for myself. Like this is a typical, for example, kind of initial stuff that I'm doing for myself. I take notes. Like I say, this should be paint. Like this is the story about like a few pilots flying their stuff. Like I take my notes, and this is how I work. I quickly do something really in a fast way, just not spending too much on details, and then I take my notes and then I start refining it. Or if I don't like idea, I just scrap it. I don't use it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do a lot of like paintings as well that I never finish. Like I kind of like this idea, this guy writing this guy's like stage, stuff like that. I kind of put it aside, and if I have time, I will go back and just refine it and like make it more beautiful and stuff like that. It's just like another plane, just from the same series. Just like side. I was also doing this story about Mars, never was able to finish it. The idea here was to use traditional, like these guys are 3D, but all the backgrounds, it's just like ink and like all the clouds. This is like the ice texture, just this idea to recreate a sci-fi world just using traditional media like ink, splotches. I even bought like materials like ink, brushes, trying to do it. I will do it. I just don't have time for it right now.
It was great.
Just like something. Well, this is where it comes to Darek, your question about style. Like style is something you can that comes with the time. If the more you do it, you kind of start to feel your own style and just like become confident with it. Like this one is the same. This like I used gradient brush and just overlaying like papers painted in ink, which is like when you zoom out, it kind of makes sense, like some kind of structure. What else? I do have a lot of Photoshop stuff. Let me open something up. Where was that? Okay. For example, yeah. Sorry, my computer at home is so slow.
No worries. If it's enough to run Ghang, that's...
So this is what I'm really I was trying to explain when I was doing my Gambro. This is like Photoshop has a really nice way to build up this kind of like quick silhouettes. And why Photoshop? You can do the same in Keyshot, but the difference is that you're kind of modeling in Photoshop as well. So when I go here and I see my shape and I just like kind of I change this shape completely. I just save it out. You see my model has changed. Different model now.
Oh.
So it's an interactive way to how it works for me. If I have for example, a prop design that I need to put, like I can design it separately and then put it into some kind of background. But I always try to make all my stories inside of environment. So I find an environment that makes sense, and I design this guy just as a silhouette. Quickly make it as a 3D object. I do have my light, which controls, and I know where the lighting is coming from in this picture, and I can simulate it, and now I have my model. And then I just find the right camera, right proportions. Again, like I have a control over like every part of it. Like if I want to change it, I just like, for example, let's rotate it. I rotate it, I save it, and you see this piece was rotated. Let me close down this one. For example, open this up, make a range, cascade them, and you see I have this shape. Like I'm changing it. I'm saving it, and it changed my model. So it's kind of interactive way to design basic shapes, which is literally what is design about. Is about like a basic shapes. Once I'm happy with overall proportion, and because I'm doing this in Photoshop, it's so quick. Like I don't mess around with a lot of vertices and like sculpting. Like I know people who can do this in ZBrush very quickly as well, but because I'm really good in Photoshop, I want to stay inside Photoshop and just like, for example, if I show you what can happen next, like these are the projects I'm doing for the Gumroad tutorial, but it's okay if I show them today. So
of course.
For example, I did this guy, and like you can see, I'm starting to putting some textures in, and like I can simulate all the lighting in Photoshop. Like, just a second, let me find the 3D layer. It seems I've merged the 3D layer. But anyway, it was the same principle. So I was able to put the light in to change all the proportions. And then because I have my photo underneath, which I can matte paint or create something else, and then I'm already having this character inside my scene, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's very handy. Like I can do a few versions just in a matter of few hours. I can literally create something completely different. Sorry, it looks like I merged my 3D. Oh no, I have my 3D layer, so yep. Oops, sorry.
So you treat them more as a guide to the general shapes, and then you use photos and paint to kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
that's great. Yeah, that's a great
But
idea.
just the only, like the biggest advantage it has, I can still design these shapes in 2D.
Yeah.
So I'm designing my profiles, and the second advantage, I can use all other Photoshop tools that I have, like curves and like make it brighter, like change the color so quickly. You know what I mean? Like it's not a rendering tool. It's more about having this initial mock-up that you can use later on to refine it. You know?
Yeah, the bridge between painting and having basic 3D model is really tiny here. So it's really great that you can kind of translate your intuition in terms of painting to.
Exactly. I hope I will finish this Gumroad tutorial soon. Guys who made it, you know, it's so time-consuming to make them. Not in terms of like you literally spend 2 hours just doing something, but for me it takes like a week of preparation because I want to share cool stuff and I want to be really useful. That's why it takes long. For example, this technique could be useful, very much useful in creating environments as well, because it's kind of the same. You just like you set up your scene and then you have control all over your shapes and you have your camera and you just play around, put the lighting in, and just you have a ready mock-up for your rendering or photo bashing or just painting, even for painting. Like, I can share. I haven't copied it, like, but if we go to my DeviantArt page, just a second. All right. Oh, where is that? 1 second, guys. Okay. For example, this monkey is a 3D. It's a 3D model. I modeled the monkey, and then I projected my textures. I painted my textures, projected it back, took it back in Photoshop, painted it over again, and that's how it looks like. It looks three-dimensional with all those brush strokes. So, for example, this crow, it's 3D. I found a photo of crow. I projected it in Photoshop, extruded it, make 3D model, back to Keyshot, render it, back to Photoshop, just paint it on top of it. So,
Nice.
yeah, well, it's all about experimenting. I really like experimenting. That's why the reason I wanted to show these works. And I'm always pretty open about my stuff. Like when people ask me how we do that, I just tell them because there's no magic behind it. The way I do it, it's just the technical bit that I can share with you. But all the rest, how I make my decisions, we should go to beginning and to those daily exercises that I showed in the beginning. Like, in order to be able to make those decisions, you need to have a solid fundamentals, and the rest is just technique, And I'm so happy to share my technique. What else?
So is we.
What else? Well, that's pretty much it. So this is like a small portion of the stuff I'm doing. Like, I do remember on this Monday, the guy from another department at my work, he came up and saw me doing something, and he was like, "Hey, dude, you're always doing something. Like every time I come here, doing something else." Well, I told this is the way I learn. I told him this is the way I progress. Like I always try to do something new and just improve my skills. If I'm not doing it, there's someone who is doing it, and I don't want to be behind those guys. So it really motivates me. Like this is like the biggest motivation for me, just to be good enough. And if you work hard enough, you will be there for sure. It's just about making smart choices and supporting with the proper amount of practice, and the rest will come. We kind of like, we have a lot of examples of those guys like Mache, like all those guys who made it. They all started from zero and managed to do it just because they knew their target and they just went for it. Okay, I'm curious if anybody has any questions, so I can just relate it to this stuff.
Let me look it up.
There are a lot of questions already.
Mm-hmm.
People are making conversations.
Anyway, I think this is like a last chapter that I want to show you. It's about learning and sharing. Just like I mentioned, I'm really happy to share the stuff I'm doing. And like I mentioned in the beginning, when I was starting, I was so isolated, like literally nobody around me. And I'm so thankful to guys like Levi who helped me and all other guys who literally like, I know those guys like very famous, and when you drop them a message, they will probably reply you in a week or so. But they did it, and that's why I'm always want to pay it back. And it's just logical. These days we need to share with all this internet and all that stuff around. Sharing is a very good tool to like grow as a society. Like it's not like, oh, that guy will learn my tool, he will become better. No, that's normal. You will, when he's learning your stuff, you will be doing something else. So it's kind of all balanced. As a learning stuff, I'm just wanting to show some, like, I did this a little bit of like work for my next comrade, so I will be talking about big shapes, textures, and canvas size, how it affects the painting, and like wet and dry brushes. And especially I wanted to show this one as a part of my tutorial. I kind of developed this quick setup in Photoshop. It's always like people ask me a lot of questions about light, and like I always felt that I'm not good enough to show it because I'm using RGB sliders here. This is the way I'm working with light, and I made this kind of small presentation so you kind of like how the light affects like reflection and all the how light affects dark light areas and dark areas. For example, if you have a green ball, how is it going to affect this sphere? So, like, it's a good example, and I'm really happy that I spent some time trying to make it more obvious and just like staying in Photoshop to show how this all stuff working. So I'm promising I will be releasing this soon, and I'm pretty sure many of you guys can find it helpful or just grab a couple of tips from there. So that's pretty much it.
That's great. I mean, yeah, that was so like kind of that wasn't 3D, right? That was just masks.
No, it's just a usage of masks. It's all Photoshop. So I kind of linked them all together and just unlinked them, and yeah, it's not 3D. It's kind of fake 2D.
Yeah. So you use RGB sliders to pick colors and to mix them, or?
I can show that one. For example, for me, it was the biggest revelation in terms of colors because I never, like, I really for 2 years I struggled to paint in color, and at some point I was just really close to give up and just stay black and white. This is what I'm doing good. I'm not doing any color pages, but yeah. So the way it works, for example, if I have my local color, let me pick up some soft brush. Or no, just let me pick up this brush. For example, I have this color over here, which is kind of grayish color, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I have this red source, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I just pick the red source, the color of red source, and just paint on top of it, it will never give me this, even if I adjust like transparency or do like tricks like overlay and stuff like that, it will never give me exact color that will be there when this plate receives this red light. And the way I'm doing it these days, I have this color, and if I have a red source, I just go to RGB sliders and just increase the red amount. So I'm adding to this color red, and this is the color, the right color that you will get when you have this red sphere over there. So I made these colors over here. So and for example, for this dark color here, I'm just doing the same. I'm just adding a little bit of red.
Okay.
I'm painting it. It gives me this good color. For example, same here. If this green one gives me some green over this blue sphere, I have this blue here, and I add green. And because it's a bit yellowish green, I also add a little bit of yellow. So when I paint it, now it gives me the true color that should be there because this sphere is lighting this up.
Yeah, it's really an intuitive way to approach it, but I have never thought of it. That's
well, this is something I learned from traditional painters. I don't remember exactly the source of this stuff, but there was a huge article online, and I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, this is the most beautiful thing. Before that, I really didn't know how to do it. Like I know that this blue should get some green from this sphere, and before that I would go to this classic thing and trying to you don't know how much, for example, this gray, when it takes some red, it could still be red, not still be gray, but just a little bit of hint of red, And when you have a lot of sources, like a lot of few white sources, it gets so confusing, But when you know the math, when you know the physics behind it, it's much more easier to paint. And whenever I'm doing any kind of work, I'm constantly using it. So that's why I really feel confident to introduce some really weird local colors, even, for example, let's go back, for example, to some of my works.
That was the tutorial you talked about. It was Lin runs, right?
Yep, exactly. It was Lin runs. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading it, but it was I wasn't on that level yet to understand it, and I think you know what I mean. That was kind of it was heavy.
That's the point. I completely understand you. It's like I always compare reading any kind of tutorials to medicine stuff. When you read medical book in university for the first year. Like you kind of don't get anything, you know. Oh my God, what is this? And when you spend 5 years and you start to understand how this whole stuff working, so it's the same with art. That's why I always like. In the beginning, I told that I'm trying to watch all of this Level Up series because there's always something new that I didn't quite get before, and there's always something that people better or smarter than me got it right, and then I can just like learn from them, which is cool. It's a great
That's beautiful because we are lucky. There are not so many schools, right, in terms of concept arts and such, and we tend to say, okay, it's about thing, but what's the opportunity here? I think it's every artist has his own ways to create because of that, because there's no centralized education, and we can meet up like with you, with any other artist, and everybody will have different approach, and we can learn from it, right? So that's what's beautiful. It allows more, much more experimentation, and it's just an amazing adventure. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I feel so lucky that this is what I'm doing for life, and this is what I think I will be doing as soon as far as I'm healthy. I will be doing this stuff for a long time, because it's never-ending learning process. Like every day there's something new. Like because there's so many people doing it, and like somebody finds out something cool and then shares it, and like everybody picks it up and starts like it's an amazing how it progresses. Like even in 2-3 years, like all the 3D and photo usage, it just exploded. Everybody became so good at it because it was just a new tool. And I think like in a few years we will be doing some amazing stuff, and which is cool. Which means we will never get bored and just keep constantly doing some interesting projects. I'm so lucky. I'm really thankful to God that I'm doing this. I'm not like working in the factory doing some stuff, which could be fine, but this is what I want to do.
Yeah, definitely. Getting paid for painting, that's beautiful. Yeah,
yeah, when coming to getting paid, I would always tell myself and to my friends that whenever you like get your brain involved, the more your brain is involved into your work, the more you're getting paid. So that's why I like concept art, because people rely on your brain, like not much on your technical skill. They know you're good, but they also want some ideas from you. And when you're able to generate those ideas, like your prices just go higher and higher. So this was one of the reasons why I stepped away from technical stuff, because I know there's so many guys better than me, faster than me. And I just realized, dude, you need to concentrate on one thing. Like when I was studying, I downloaded all the Gnomon tutorials, all of them, like Maya, 3D Max. Like, well, I'm talking about like 5 years ago. It wasn't that much, like maybe 40 tutorials or so. And I just watched them all. I wanted to learn everything. And then at some point, like, dude, you need to be like really
start doing
realistic and just to concentrate on something you like, you enjoy, and you think you will be enjoying in future 20 or 30 years. And concept art is completely what I want to do. Concept art, mud painting, and a bit of illustration maybe.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. All right, so we are through our talk right now. Guys, if you have any questions, that's the time to post them. I will try to get them from the chat right now. And Jama, will you be willing to, because we have still like 15 minutes left, to do like a short demo or on anything you want, and we can just briefly talk on the questions we have. Okay, let me see. We have to wait a minute until it reaches our audience. Okay. Jonas, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm really happy to announce that our Facebook group has reached 30,000 members, which is just mind-blowing. I mean, some of these members are obviously bots posting spam that we are trying to get rid of every day. But we really couldn't imagine what's happening now. Like 30,000 people is just extraordinary amount. And what's, because there are groups on Facebook that are active and that involve even more people. But what makes me happy about what's happening in Level Up is that it actually works. There are people who help each other. There are people who comment, who critique, who are just human beings helping each other, which is just mind-blowing. I just love like going through posts and seeing work being improved and commented upon, and that's just amazing. So if you're watching our stream for the first time now, go to the Facebook, type in Level Up into the search. It should bring you the Level Up group, or just go to fusroda.com. It's our webpage, and you can find all of the components of our small society there. So yeah, I'm just really happy to be part of it. Yeah, because I'm learning a lot every freaking Sunday. Every time I look on the group or talk with guys or meeting people like you, Jama, just amazing. So
yeah, so everyone has the benefits from it, and that's cool because we launch it like in the way of thinking of teaching other people, but it just turned out that we are also taught by others, so it's awesome.
yeah, one more thing. If you are watching us right now, you probably have some art friends that do not know about Level Up. My personal favor that I ask you for is to recommend us to just one of your friends. Just tell us about what we are doing, and I think I just want the knowledge to spread, because what we are doing is a goodwill of all the artists that are invited, and it's knowledge that I think should be spread. It's maybe a little bit harder to watch these sessions offline and after the fact, not that entertaining then. But I think that technical part is still there. The theoretical part that you can learn from is still there. So please just post a link to our YouTube or just subscribe to our channel and spread the word. And we'll do it anyway. Even though if we would have one viewer, we'll still do it. Even for ourselves, that's why it's so entertaining.
I already noticed that some of the people are asking for our Level Up quest that we already announced last time. For more information, we will definitely back to you very soon.
Yeah, Darek, maybe let's just say what the Level Up quest is, because I don't think majority of people knows about it. So what Level Up quest is our try to make Level Up something more than only online experience. And we, from the beginning, me, Jonas, and Darek, we are always approaching Level Up from the perspective of free sharing and yeah, basically free knowledge, right? So we didn't want to launch a workshop that will involve money. We didn't want to make it only in one place. So what we figured out is to merge it with our passions and our drives as well. So we love to travel. We love to discover new places. We are intrigued by experiencing new things, and that's what we are trying to convey in this new event that we are creating, which is basically a 9-day art trip that is free to join. And we didn't want to get stuck in organizing everything, making sure that people have like specific, they are catching specific planes, they have accommodation and such. So basically, what's the deal? This art trip is free to join for 9 people. We will choose, and it's free to join, but you have to cover your own expenses, and that's what makes it really possible to do for us. And don't worry, I know the number for the people is really small. But I cannot imagine traveling with 100 people. That would be awesome, but it's just not doable. We are planning to do more of these, definitely. And we launched, if you want to check it out, if you want to subscribe to try to get on this and get more info about the place we want to go, about the technicalities, go to our fusroda.com page, and there should be section there, right? Or it should be, Jonas, it should be approach with. Can you enter the page from the main?
Yeah. There's a big colorful banner on the main page. So if you just go to fusroda.com, you will see it, and then just click on Level Up Quest and just check out all the stuff that we've written down. And we're probably going to close the application soon because we've gotten quite a lot this week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you want to join us on this trip, then
yeah, and we will. People who will get in will decide with us where we want to go. So that's a cool stuff. We will paint together, interiors, exteriors. You will get tasks that you can do or you don't have to. We'll learn from each other. We will try to spread the knowledge we have. We'll try to learn from you. It's not a teacher-student based experience, but we will try to get as much knowledge through as possible as well.
Yeah, it's basically also the level upping with level up itself, just doing something really new and
well, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to doing it. So, Jonas, have we decided when exactly we want to do it, or can we just specify? Because I know a lot of people are wondering, will it be this year or next year? Maybe we can just give a rough idea if it will be this year or next year.
Well, hopefully both.
Yeah.
Personally, I would love to do many of them. It's just obviously the sort of practical side and logistics of it. We all have jobs and stuff, so we have to take some time off work, but we gladly do that. So far, the plan is to do one this year, maybe in a few months already. Don't know exactly because it will also depend on the location that is being voted for, because some of the locations are not ideal for winter time. Some of them are. So once we go through all the applications and we see the most popular locations, we'll probably pick one. It's going to be around Europe or Northern Africa this trip, and then maybe the next one we'll go somewhere else because yeah, we've had people from the States and some people from Asia and stuff. So obviously it would be awesome if we can do some quests in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
But if you sign up now and you don't hear from us, your name will stay in the list. So when we do the next one, you actually don't have to apply again. You will just automatically be added for the next one. So don't worry about it if you don't get in.
So Darek, can you post the link to the site to our event page?
Yeah.
Now? So yeah. Right. So enough advertising. Enough of that, because some beautiful things are happening.
Yeah, give the voice to our guest, finally.
Exactly. Jama, can you talk a little bit about what we are doing right now?
Well, I'm just painting as we go. I'm kind of not thinking a lot, so I did this kind of ship and these mountains and the water is kind of docking around. Yeah, well, this is how basically I approach. I start very simple and not like just using few values, and then once I'm happy with overall layout, I'm starting to introduce and like using like, for example, for this water over here, I know it's like, and I want to introduce this waves and stuff, like, water is always smooth, so I need to use I need to introduce those gradients, which I can't get when I'm using this like hard edge brushes, and that's why I'm using mixer brush, which is just the same brush in the mixer brush mode, which is over here, and just smudging around and like creating those gradients that I need to represent the water, And also I do often use selection, which is over here, which is Magic Wand tool, because I'm staying quite flat in some areas, I can quickly just like adjusting the tolerance over here. I can select the areas around. Just for example, I know this water should be more ripply, and now I will bring some texture that will represent it. I'm just selecting the areas to kind of giving it that, and then I know, like, for example, around these areas there will be a lot of foam and stuff like that, so I will be introducing that thing. Around the stones especially, you always see this kind of. And once again, I'm always, like, if you realize I'm not going anywhere, I'm just in full screen mode, and to change my brushes I'm using my shortcuts, which is SD to scroll through the brushes. So S is previous brush and D is the next brush. So when I'm using this set of brushes, I'm just, like, just scrolling over them and just creating.
Yeah, I just recently watched your Gumroad video, and I have been planning to ram up my Photoshop shortcuts for a long time, and I felt like it will take me a long time to get used to the new shortcuts because I'm so used to the old ones, the default ones. And once I did it, it's so much easier. Like, I always struggle to fit my tool presets or brush presets panel somewhere, and it should be always visible. But right now I have my, I'm switching my brushes through the keystrokes S and D as you do, and it's so much easier. Yeah, and it's funny how easily you can recognize your brush part by its silhouette. So yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, you should. I think you should play around with the ergonomics if you are can maybe a little bit more advanced and want to gain some speed. I know Jonas is just a maniac of that. He's creating like panels and like programming it and then shit. It's just the next level.
I've gotten into discussions with people who only draw with their tablet and use only the tablet, and I don't get it how they can do it with just the wheel and the couple of buttons that they have.
Yeah, exactly. I have never used these express keys, right? That's how they're called.
Yeah.
Express keys. I have never used them, and I felt like, God damn it, that's so limited. But maybe there's a way that I don't know that there's more possibilities with that.
Yeah, I mean, you can use the radial menus and stuff, and like that, you can actually have access to a lot of tools in Photoshop. But just the keyboard is just, there's no doubt about it, it's just the fastest way to do anything. I know some people who use that Ergo keyboard. I think, were we talking about it with Alex, I guess? The
Razer Orb Weaver or something like this. Yeah, it's for one hand, right?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I was planning to get it actually and to test it out because it looks like your hand doesn't have to move really, and it's really cool. Yeah. So you don't really have to splash your hand around 40 centimeter, 30 centimeter piece of plastic. It's just steady. So I like the idea. Maybe I'll check it out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, basically now, because I know my main shapes, I'm starting to sculpt the bringing more gradients and just I know this is a rock, right? And I know overall this place should be in shadow, so I'm kind of starting. Even I can start using some gradient brushes as well, but I already have this light patch over here which shows that lighting is over there, and this whole section is in the shadow, so I'm kind of dropping it. And the more I work, it's kind of like natural progress. It becomes more photoreal because as my main job is matte painting, I know how photos work and I know how to create photoreal pictures. And when I'm sketching, it helps me a lot to use that knowledge and create for example, values. I never think actually about values. I do them. It's so subconscious in my mind. It's like, all of you know, it's like riding a bike. Like few sessions when you start, you think about all the movements, but once you learn it, it's all just subconscious. You don't think about it. You just do it, and your body executes what your brain knows how to do. So the same with the painting. I don't think about values at all because they already baked inside my mind. Like I know what I should be doing to make this picture look more real, That's why in my first section I was constantly talking about basic knowledge, daily exercises, studies, experimenting, and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know it's really frustrating when you see some beautiful works on the internet, like, oh my god, that guy does some really awesome 3D or like photo bashing, and it's so intimidating to try same as well. And I heard so many people saying, oh man, I'm watching that tutorial, it's amazing, but I can't do anything similar to that. Well, the reason behind that's many people just lack that basic knowledge and basic understanding. All the other tools and tricks like photos and 3D, they're just new tools, and without the proper knowledge how to use them, it's very difficult to do something. Like, at least for me, it took me maybe 5 years to learn how to paint with the brushes, and I started to progress just at the point when I started to actually learn them, not just to apply similar brushes and trying to just imitate someone, you know.
Do you feel like these kind of things sort of come with an aha or eureka moment? Like you just suddenly get it, and from then on you've sort of leveled up?
Well, I can tell you how it happened to me. Like when I talked a little bit in the beginning when you were not here. It was like, for me, it always was a big struggle. Like I felt so frustrated that I can't do perspective. I just don't understand how the whole thing works. But the good thing, once you do it for a certain amount of time, and then maybe give up for like maybe a few weeks or a month, and then come back to it, you're much stronger. Like a few times it happened to me, I come back to something and then I can see, oh man, I'm starting to understand that. Like, you know, it's not easy. Like for me, like I know people who are easy learners. I'm not one of those. I need to really like spend time on anything I'm doing related to art. But that's how it works for me, and I'm just patient enough to wait for that moment when it will come and hit me, and I will just say, "Oh man, I know it," you know.
And it's a matter of patience as well. I mean, people always want to learn everything as fast as they can, but time is a necessary factor. There's no way around it, whether you like it or not.
I completely agree with you. It's very difficult because, like Wojtek mentioned in the beginning, it's so frustrating when you're trying to do something and you see so many people around trying to do the same thing and they're much better than you. So easy to give up, but like giving up is so easy. You just say, "Ah, man, this is not what I want to do." But if you decided to do something, go for it. Just challenge yourself, because anything else you will do in your life will just be difficult in the same manner. Like everything is difficult, especially when you're trying to get something really cool and be famous or make money. Like everything is so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, and you know,
Exactly.
that's enough proof, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, the same with your personality. When you are doing art and you are, striving to be better, it's like you train your patience, as you said, Jama, and you train, the strong part of your physics to your mind to make it, consistent and do not give up. It's like, you can learn yourself in many ways. So
Yep.
it's not only the skills of painting or the art. So
Exactly.
it's also cool to.
Well, when it comes to learning from different sources and different artists, I have a really good example again from my poor university life. I was so poor, like I literally didn't have money to buy any books, which were really expensive. Like each book was $100 or so, and I had to rent a book from library every day. So for every subject, I would go to library and I would rent it like for a few days, and I will go bring it back. So for 6 years, I had only one book, which was given me as a present by a friend of me. The rest was just I had to, and sometimes the book that was like an official book for that course was already taken, and I had to explore new sources, and that helped me so much because I learned from so many sources, and it is the way how it should be. I think like these days we like sometimes I see things like concept artists should do this, concept artists should do that, and like people get confused. Oh man, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? You know, it's kind of about balance. You need to do a lot of those things, but you also need to be smart and understand what works for you and what is maybe not working for you. And that's the reason why you need to experiment. Without experimenting, it's really difficult what's working for you. Like when it comes to 3D, as I already told, I don't need 3D as a rendering tool, like, because I can render much faster just in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, 3D tool is a great tool to show the shapes and see the shapes in 3 dimensions. You know, that this is how I use it.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice to everybody would be, to so many artists, try to learn from everybody. So many inspiring stuff.
It also basically shows us that there is no any golden, principles or the rule that that is for everyone, because everyone is different, and that's the way of progressing. It's like the progression of any of us is quite different. The same with personalities. So it's not like someone just tells you, okay, you should start with it and you will get better. You should do this day this exercise and you can do this one, but it cannot not work out somehow, because some of other people want to start with different things, and it's like everyone is different, and all of the process progressing through the life through the years in every of us is quite different. So
yeah, exactly. Well, it's like the subject of going to school or not going. Like my experience, like 70% of people saying no, not to go to art school because it's awful. It's kind of true, and it's also not true. Like I did engineering background that I'm like completely unrelated what I'm doing right now. And I don't remember, to be honest, like half of the stuff I was seeing in university, but it helps me a lot. It taught me how to organize my brain, how to make problem solving, and I learned how to use that knowledge. Like I don't remember all of those crazy formulas and like really crazy engineering stuff, but it helped me a lot to. Like people just expect from school that they will come out of the school and they will immediately be best of the best.
No effort, right?
It's not true. Like
sometimes it's more like the life experience. It's not about if you
Yeah.
go to art school you'll become a master painter or so. It's only a matter of you and your attitude to it, your devotion, your sacrifices. But it can also teach you like the matter of lives. It cannot be related with art at the beginning, but in the future it can help you somehow, because you had more contact with people. You had you learned in other things. You learned in different genres, but at some point in your life it can help you. So
exactly. So once again, like there are really no rules. Like people keep saying, like I remember when I was like I was trying to do some music as well, and like for a few weeks I did so many things in my life, like including breakdancing, like doing some crazy stuff. This is where my handstand is coming from. So and like people always, whatever you do, people tell you there are no rules, like you can, but you need to learn them and then break them. It kind of didn't make sense to me. What does it mean? But when I started doing concept art and art related stuff, I realized that you need to learn basics, and then you just know where you can exceed your limits and where you can do something different. This is how it works.
yeah, and every of things that you experience in your life can meet each other at some point. So it's like you said, it's not a rule. There is no any rules for it. So
guys, can we maybe go into a couple of questions, because
yeah, sure.
Is in the chat.
Of course.
Okay. So here's one from Ivan. Jama, could you explain your thought process for the composition in this particular piece that you're doing?
In this particular piece, kind of, for my pictures, I always try to stick with few rules, not rules, but few ideas behind every composition. The first rule, I always want to be immersed into the scene. So, like, I kind of, like, if you realized when I constructed this image first, it was a bit wider, higher. and then I just made it like, especially I put the horizon line over here. Let me green. So I made the horizon line here because I want to be a viewer who stands with my camera. So I could potentially stand on some of the stones or be in another boat here and just look here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it was a bit higher than that, then I would feel that I'm not the person. I'm like, I would push it further, maybe do an aerial shot, like a bird eye view, or I need to put myself on the ground. So I need to feel like in all of my compositions, I'm one of those guys who is immersed into this scene, you know? Like, for example, I can explain this on this elephant piece that I've done so far. So I could be the person who kind of sits on one of those trees here, you know, like, because I obviously can't be the person who is on the ground because I will be fucked up by the crocodiles. So this is why I selected this kind of point of view when I'm literally kind of maybe looking through the, and the whole lighting here shows that it's a kind of this forest and maybe this light is hitting through one hole in this really big jungle forest, you know. And this is the first principle that I'm trying to stick with all of my compositions. I always think about camera angle. So is it low? Is it long lens? Is it short lens? Kind of everything should serve the story I'm having here. And I hope I will have more time to explain it when I will be doing my tutorials, which will include all the ideas behind camera angles and like short lens, long lens, and stuff like that. The second thing, I always try to keep my focal points. So, and here comes like rule of thirds, like everybody says, like the rule says everything should be over here, you know? So I'm kind of shifting it over here because I have this huge mass over here, and if you can see it also kind of points all the brush strokes and all the rock formations. They all point to this focal point, which is this ship over here. So I will probably counterbalance it with some foreground rocks later on, maybe put something here over here, so I'm not exiting my frame. I'm staying always here. So yeah, these are the kind of two main principles. I always have my focal point, which is strongest point of interest in the piece. Like probably if I was doing this in color, I will probably add some red crosses here. Something like that.
So going back to colors, when you are you tend to start with black and whites, right? Because it gives you more freedom with with shape design and such. So I bet you will be doing some camera tutorials on color and stuff. But can you briefly maybe tell us how do you? Because I find your colors like really outstanding, and I was wondering how do you transpose from black and white, really kind of expressive brush strokes and such, to color?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can do it now. I think this piece is good enough for me to continue working on it. Let's just save it up. So when it comes to colors, okay. When I'm doing my color studies, I always start with the color. So you can almost never see me starting from black and white and doing that and jumping to how do you say it, to colorizing it, because I don't know how to do it, to be honest. Like I can do it, but it doesn't look as good as it should be. So whenever I'm doing colors, I start, and I often do start with a very muted color palette. So like I don't use a lot of colors because my main principle is always to simplify stuff, to start really rough, simple, so I can introduce more stuff on top of it and make it more complex and stuff like that. So for example, and once again, like the stuff I've showed with that image over here, let me bring it up again. So same stuff with this image over here. Now I have my, for example, I have my color, right? and I want to, for example, this is a kind of warm color, and I want to bring some blue, cool color to it, and I'm using RGB sliders, and I know I need to reduce reds, and I need to increase blues. So this is how sorry. So this is how I introduce the color that is opposite to this one. I'm always using these RGB sliders. The only thing with the color studies, it always takes time to establish good values. So when it's black and white, it's very obvious what your values are. But when it's a color, you need to spend some time in some right values, because values is what makes the piece realistic enough, you know. So if your values are right, your stuff will look photoreal. If your values are not right, it always looks fake and not photoreal enough. So as I was mentioning, I'm using this color burn to introduce some dark colors as well. Where is my brush? Sorry. Color burn and overlay.
Yeah, you know, it's really eye-opening right now to see you painting, because I tend to have a lot of preconceptions, for example, about the blending modes and such. You know, I tend to not use them because I didn't find them useful at the beginning of my adventure of Photoshop. And it's really funny because it's the experimentation phase that you are doing so much, and you showed us that matters here, that you can reinvent and repurpose the tools that you didn't find useful before. So, yeah, that's amazing.
Well, actually, I wish we had more time. Like, I could show you like some of the stuff that people, like, I never seen people using. This displace filter is an amazing design tool. You can quickly like create batching, like drop in some shapes and create displacing them, and it creates some really nice stuff. And I hope I will be definitely showing that when I have more time, so people could just try it out and find it helpful and stuff like that. So once again, because I'm starting from scratch, I don't know what I'm doing. It takes me some time to experiment.
There's a weird conversation in the chat about drugs. I have no idea where it comes from, but
Yeah, I saw it.
Let it be.
About what's wrong with that? What's wrong with the drugs?
Nothing wrong.
Nothing.
It's a strange place to pick this conversation. I'm just looking for questions.
Was it maybe somebody was asking if I take drugs or stuff like that?
No. I think it came from the conversation of inspiration and stuff, and then sort of led from there.
By the way, guys, I'm kind of proud of that thing, and I want to share this. Maybe it could motivate someone. I never drink and never smoke, and I never even tried in my life, so kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like not having. It's like not having a knife on these days. Like people remember me. Do you know that guy? He never tried and stuff like that. So it's a bit of some of weird statistics about me.
Good guy.
Then everyone wants to go drinking with Jama, but he never comes.
No, I always come. I just drink Coke and Pepsi. That's fine.
Only on orange juice.
Yeah.
So you see, I'm kind of starting introducing more and more colors, but I still kind of have this a lot of blacks and stuff like that. I'm gonna fix this composition, don't worry. It's just I need to establish my color palette first.
There you go. So I find you working in a very abstract way at the first stages. So it's almost as if you are an abstract painter. You look for interesting color relationships. You look for interesting shape language and for interesting brush strokes and such.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you found the most useful to kind of get this stuff intuitive? You probably already talked about it, but I just want to recap this really quickly. Like, what's the maybe there was an aha point when you thought, okay.
There was an aha point actually. Thank you very much for that question, and I almost forgot to share it. Like I mentioned you about this bazillion amount of tutorials that I downloaded from GNOME. I was watching like all of them, and I was like, dude, man, you are such a douchebag. You can't that stuff. Like I was really desperate, and I was thinking to give up at some point. And then there was this guy called Nick Pugh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like if you can give you Nick Pugh GNOME. Alright, so just if anybody is interested in it, they can go and buy it. This was a tutorial that absolutely changed my approach and my mind. Like this guy, he's an amazing designer. What he does the scribbles, like 100 pages before he starts doing anything. And what it does, it kind of like, I don't know if they have preview here. Oh, sorry, I don't have a plugin. But it's definitely worth of trying. Nick Pugh tutorial on originality in design. And this is the one that opened my mind. And the principle how it works, you just set up your mind free. It doesn't mean you need to like make ridiculous stuff like this, you know. Mm-hmm. It's not that. But you keep the flow, you know. You keep this nice flow, and you are not thinking. You are designing. You're not thinking about all the complex stuff like values and all this hardcore math stuff, you know, physics stuff. You're just thinking about general proportions of the shapes, and you know. And this is how it works for me. Like, I often find myself doing abstract stuff in the beginning, and it just comes together. The more I paint, I can like generate stuff. But you know, once again, by saying that, it's good to balance. Like sometimes you can't use this approach. Like people want, like you can't show people 10 abstract pieces to select from. They will go like, oh, what is this? I don't understand it. You need to bring them to the level that it's readable enough and it's good enough to be presented to the people if we are talking about the concept art, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that answers my questions. Dark, can you post the link to that normal video? We probably did it already, right?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, we will definitely check it out.
A good one. It was one of those, and there was a second one which I also can share with you. It was a good for environment pieces. It was Scott Robertson. Something creating with environments. Scott Robertson.
Yeah. When he creates like a couple of sketches and he layers them over, and then like.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one. Yeah, this is the creating unique environments.
Yeah, we were talking about it this week, me and Wojtek.
Yeah. To be honest, before these two tutorials, I was trying to understand how Feng works, which he's an amazing designer, but his approach, like at that stage that I was in, I didn't have any proper perspective knowledge and stuff like that. It was really difficult for me, like. And when I started to use abstraction, it became so much easier for me to create the stuff that I wasn't able to create before, because it's much more abstract, and I care less about, like, when I'm doing this, I don't think about perspective. I think only about subject, about colors and stuff like that, and it helps me to. And it already comes together. Like I can see this is a kind of like, you know, one of those Vietnamese villages or stuff like that. It's on the water, you know. I can already feel it. Like if I spend more time on it, it will become better and better.
So you start your color pieces always in color. There's no transition between the black and white.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
because an amount of like you build up your color relationships from the beginning, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the way. Well, if you find it difficult doing it from scratch, because doing it from scratch has one big problem. It's the values. It's very difficult to get those values. Like I'm quite experienced at that because that's the reason why I can quickly do it, and I kind of know what value I should add to make this space more believable, you know. But if you're struggling with that, like if some of you guys struggling with that, just go for photos. Like use photos, like use photos to establish your color palette, or use reference to do it, or whatever tools works for you. It's absolutely fine. And when you are in production, when everybody wants from you something really quick, sometimes, not sometimes, often it's not the option to kind of fuck around. You know, you need to do something really quick, and you just use photos, use 3D, use blocks, whatever is helpful, and you know.
I have a question here from Dumb Forrester. Gemma, if you're like 30 rather than 20 and your skill is low, is there any sense in actually dreaming of becoming an artist?
Well, I can tell you one thing, and like whenever people older than 30 ask me this question, I always tell them that you need to think twice. The older you are, the more responsibility you have. Like it's so easy to tell, it's never late. You can do it in 60s. It's easy to tell that, but we need to be honest. Like, especially when you have family, and it's more difficult to switch around. So you need to, if you feel confident enough to care about all the stuff you're responsible for and still going for something new, feel free. It's never late. Like I said, I posted my first piece when I was 28, and I'm at 34 now. So there's nothing wrong about it. But it's a bit tricky question. Like if you're 40 years old, you have 2 kids and stuff like that. You need to be sure that whatever you do, always remember that you have a family behind you. Like I'm pretty honest. I did this mistake myself one more. I was married and I had a kid, and I was like, we all know that concept art or art-related stuff takes a lot of time. It's like a really time-consuming process. And I kind of felt that I was not balancing enough. I was just doing too much of work, and which cost me my family. Like I got divorced. Like there was some. It was a complex issue. I don't want to bother you, but what I know that you need to be able to balance and to be responsible for everybody who is dependent on you, your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever you have. Spend your time, do something new, but always remember that you have some people you need to care about. And if you're doing great in everything, just go for it. It's never late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think a lot of people actually have the opportunity to do it, but they're just really intimidated, and they think that their age is, you know, going to be an issue because other people who are younger are better than them. But I don't think that's actually the issue here. I think what Gemma pointed out is the main issue, because actually if it just comes down to skill, when you're a bit older, you actually already have a lot more knowledge about the world, and it can actually help you in getting better faster.
Yeah.
Just because you're you're smarter in a way, you just know more. So
yeah, it's like we said previously, it's about the life experience and how much you already saw in your life and experience. So it's never too late for starting. So
yeah, I agree. So just few like ideas while I'm doing it, like because I'm constructing this image, like these whites that pop out, they kind of helping a lot to. This imagine this was like some kind of material that was reflecting the sun that is coming from here, and this wise they were not like done on purpose because the way I'm painting is the way that old masters would paint. I'm just constructed the first thing and then started to move on. I still have these brush strokes and these things leaking underneath it, and it helps a lot to start establishing realism and overall like physics of this image. And if you take a look at Craig Mullen's works, you can always see how he literally constructs his paintings, and we all know they're amazing. They're just beautiful.
Here's another question. I know that talent doesn't play as big a role as practice in regards to technical skills, but what about design? How much of that is creativity and how much is learned by studying design?
There's no like simple question. It's very personal. Like I know people who are amazing designers from like they could just bash out stuff like so quickly, and I know people who are not, who are like they need to spend a few days to generate something, and it's completely fine. And to answer your question, what is better? It's very personal. You need to know how strong you are and where you like something, and you just need to fix it. Just work on your skill. I would say like creativity is more important. It wouldn't be true because you can be creative, but if you can't draw and somehow put your ideas on the paper or on a canvas, then you're worth of nothing, because you will hire people who can actually put stuff on the paper or the canvas or do 3D and illustrate their ideas. So it's kind of balanced. So it's also always good to balance your exercises like that encounter you and challenge you in terms of creativity and skill as well. It's all about balancing your exercises. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Someone's asking a question also, and I think it's trying to apply to your technique. Is it okay to start with abstract and looking for design like you're doing while you're working for a client?
Yeah, definitely. Well, abstraction should be considered just as a tool, you know. Because whenever I'm starting here, when I started, I didn't have any idea, because it was just somebody asked me to do some color piece, and I just picked something, started to do something, and it turned out to be this thing. But when I'm doing, for example, if you have seen my series about astronauts, like I spent some time trying to figure out what I want to do. Like, let me find it, sorry. Just a second. So this is like a main. Yep. So I had this idea in my mind that I'm gonna make hunters on the moon. That's it. Like, this is what I had in my mind, and I had nothing else. So I started. This is the first piece I did, and I kind of like this. Okay, hunters should be having dogs, like, you know, these hunters, they have dogs that go for the duck. So I made these dogs, and then after I made this image, everything became clear what I want to do. I wanted to do like semi-sci-fi. It's not like a distant future. And then I just started to generate more angles, and these are very brief. And when you squint your eyes, like this station behind, it's very abstract, isn't it? But it sells the idea that it's some kind of space station. So this is how I use abstract way of thinking in my paintings when I'm in production, you know? Same here, like I know this focal point is this guy, but I wanted this kind of huge structure in the background, so it's very abstract when you squint your eyes, like, but it kind of makes sense. And then I generated the whole thing, and once I was happy with everything, I picked up one of those and just made that final piece, which is this one. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then once I'm happy with idea versus composition, I just look for the tools I can use to generate. For example, these pipes, I used a mixer brush, you know, when it's duplicating some stuff. And for tires, I made them in 3D, modeled them in 3D code, rendered them in Keyshot, and just and everything else is painted.
Yeah, I love how many techniques you actually used, and it still looks unified, and it still looks. It doesn't look like you used 3D. It doesn't look like you used photos. It looks like your style. So yeah, I think you know, among all these tools, it's really important to stay yourself and to stay. It's to still kind of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, once again, it's kind of lies. Everything is dependent on my overall understanding. Like I showed you the very first work that I was doing in Turkey. It was rendering this industrial machinery, which was like the most boring and embarrassing thing in the world. But I learned so much about materials. Like I know what steel would reflect. I know like, and once again, this is not scientifically like true image. Like if you start to analyze many of the shadows, and I don't need to be scientific. Like I'm not doing science. I'm doing concept art.
Yeah.
And because I'm concept artist. Imagine if this was approved, I can give it to 3D modelers, maybe refine it a little bit, and they will do the rest, you know, so they will know how to make it, like, make those details. I need just to suggest them and to sell them as an initial pitch, you know, that's why it always helps me to still stay sketchy but understand the overall physics of light, shadows, and materials and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So yeah, we are really close to wrap up for today. This brings the 40 session to an end. That's awesome. I just realized it's yeah.
Yeah.
But we can terminate it with without very important question.
Oh,
Who's gonna take over it?
I can ask. Okay, Jama, last question. Would you rather be a Godzilla or a billionaire?
Billionaire. Well, if I was a Godzilla, I would probably be a billionaire because I will be the strongest man in the world, isn't it?
That's awesome. Yeah,
and there's so many billionaires around the world, so I would love to be Godzilla.
Yeah, but I don't think Godzilla can sign up for a bank account, can he?
Doesn't need to do it. Everybody will be done by poor people who are afraid of him. No?
Yeah, it's quickly and logically.
Yeah. It's funny because for the application for our art trip, we are also asking people if they are. It's actually a required question on the forum. If you would like to be a billionaire, you can't apply without answering.
Yeah, without it, you will not pass.
It's a good one. Yeah. Well, when I look at my background, I kind of realize that I always went for being Godzilla, and I can explain why. Because whatever I started, nobody around me was doing the same stuff, and so many times people were telling me like, dude, well, you're not gonna make it. Like, what do you think, you're one of those like Hollywood designers? I'm like, come on, man, be realistic. Like, people would laugh at me. I remember at my first job, I didn't know a kind of Photoshop shortcut, and I asked some guy, and he was laughing at me like, oh, dude, you're doing this for 2 years, you don't know shortcuts. Like, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get so angry. I will perfect those shortcuts, and I will laugh at you after 5 years. Like, of course, I didn't laugh at him. It's not like something man should do, but I realized that I always went for being Godzilla because it's the only way you can be good, different, and if you succeed, you will be really in a good position.
I think that was the best answer to our question period. That was really insightful, yeah, and it kind of makes more sense than the usual answers. So, yeah, that was awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you enjoy what we are doing, please subscribe to our channel. Get to Facebook, check out our group, check out what's happening in there, and we will be updating the site this week. I know some stuff is missing from the watch sessions because that was my job to do it and I didn't do it, whereas Darek and Jonas did the resources page. I didn't. My bad. I will update it with all the PSDs from the artists. So stay tuned
Yeah,
for that.
the same with me and
Jama,
overpaints.
yeah, exactly. Jama, can you save the PSD so we can spread it after the session so people can get?
Sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we also will also keep you updated, guys, about the level up quest. So don't bother. It will be pretty soon that we announce anything because you know we also would love to do it as soon as we can. So yeah, just stay tuned, and we will keep you updated. So
Yep.
for now, we would love to thank you very much, Jama, for joining us today,
Thank you, guys.
for sharing
Thank you as
your
well.
precious knowledge.
It was a nice
Amazing.
journey. Thank you very much. And once again, as I always say, if any of you guys who are watching this one, just feel free to drop me a message and just ask anything you want. Sometimes I know it's bad. I forget to reply, but you should understand me. I'm also working and stuff like that. But if you can just double check if I'm not replying, and I always try to reply and help other people as much as possible. So you know my Facebook. Feel free to get in
Yeah.
touch and stuff.
You are
like that.
another beautiful guest that we should pray for. So, yeah, guys. So thank you very much once again for everyone who joined us today, and yeah, see you next time.
Next time.
Yeah, and
Bye-bye.
see some of you guys at the workshop next week. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Kisses.
All
Bye bye.
right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
bye.